Welcome back to the Rice Crypto Show. Today, I am joined by fellow content creator, entrepreneur, and Cardano advocate, Jason Appleton, who is also the host of Crypto Crow. Before we get into it, make sure you visit ricetvx.com and sign up for my mailing list so you never miss an update or new Rice TVX and Rice Against the Grain content. You will also find links to all of my various channels as well as my social media. Make sure you're following both of my YouTube channels, Rice TVX as well as Rice Against the Grain. And due to censorship, make sure you follow me on other alternative platforms such as Rumble and Odyssey, where I do post up exclusive content. If you want to support Rice TVX, be sure to check out and join my Patreon channel, where you will get early access to my videos with no ads, unedited. You will also get exclusive content and more. I will include links in the video description for everything I just mentioned, as well as everything shared on today's video. Greetings. Joining me on today's episode of the Rice Crypto Show is a first-time guest. He is a crypto OG. I've known him for years. I am joined by Jason Appleton. Most of you know him as Crypto Crow. Welcome to the show, my friend. How's it going?
It's going well, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, man, I really honestly appreciate you taking time to do this. It's been a while since we've known each other, and I've been reaching out to you to get you on. We've had hit and misses, but stuff happens exactly how it's supposed to happen. So I'm glad to have you here, and I'm looking forward to learning more about you, what makes you tick, and kind of getting your thoughts about crypto. Because I know we have a lot of similar alignment of views, which we'll get into. But for people that might be unfamiliar with you, do you mind letting everybody know and sharing with me like when and how you got involved in cryptocurrency?
Yeah, I mean, I got in 2017. I think the first video I did was I think it was November 7th, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere along there. But I had gotten into crypto before that. I think it was sometime around August of 2017. And the long and short of it is, I went on a camping trip for the first time after like 10 years of being asked with my uncles, and one of my uncles had a heart issue. And he was explaining how he was investing for years in dividend stocks. And he told me it's something that I needed to start looking into to plan for my future. And he's like, I could pass away at any moment. And, but your aunt and your cousins will be taken care of just from the dividends that I'm getting off all the stocks and stuff. And he did actually end up passing away not long after that. And, but I really dove into dividends and learning the stock market. And then I discovered crypto because if you're looking up passive yield, passive returns, dividends, dividend stocks, all that kind of stuff, you inevitably find ICOs. Back then, ICOs were everywhere. It was like the big craze for Ethereum's big use case. And I watched videos from Ian Bellina and Superman and even Trevon James and, all these guys. And I'm just like, man, this is a crazy world. I heard about Bitcoin back in like 2013, and I thought it was just to buy like swords and shields from EverQuest using digital something. Like I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. And I blew it off as kind of a hustle. And then all these years later, I discovered again, and I just dove in head first, man. And I mean, it didn't take me long to realize that this was really going to be the new way of all finance in the future, and not just finance, but the way it spiders out and branches into pretty much everything. And I ended up building a mining rig for Ethereum and maxed out a couple credit cards, like 3 credit cards at the time. And I built this Ethereum mining rig because I had kind of a tech background before all that, and IT and all. And I just started in mining Ethereum and investing what I mined, and I turned like $3,000 into $90,000 in about 60 days. And then I started explaining how I did it to everyone on YouTube. And I just figure at the time, my daughters were always watching YouTube for everything. And I thought, this would be a really good way to like reach people and maybe my daughters will watch and think dad is cool with his 5 viewers on YouTube, and I ended up just blowing up. I mean, I ended up getting like 2,500 subscribers a day. It was growing so fast that people thought I was like fluffing my account. Like I was buying bots and all kinds of stuff. And I didn't even know that was a thing back then. And at the time I was just exploring this whole new world, and it got me so wrapped up, and I was so emotional all the time because I felt like I knew somehow I was changing my life and ultimately changing the lives of others as I was basically sharing my journey into this new wild west of investing and just technology as a whole. And I think I realized very early on that I was finally getting, it's like how many of us, have some idea for something and we're like, oh, this would be $1 million idea. And then you blow it off, you don't think anything of it. And then a year later, somebody else does it and they're all over the newspapers and magazines, right? It's like, that was my idea. Like I had 1 million of those things growing up, like spinner rims. I invented spinner rims when I was a young teenager. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there's just so many different things. And this was something that I'm like, I finally discovered something that I know is going to be the future. And I'm in on the ground floor and I'm not going anywhere. That's pretty much how it all started.
I love that, man. Well, I want to comment on a few things. I think it's interesting that you kind of went from the stock area to crypto. And did you give up on continuing to invest in stocks and just go full on crypto, or do you still kind of dabble in that world?
Full on crypto, man. I was with Robinhood, and I ended up getting into penny stocks, and I was just doing all kinds of stuff. I did everything I could to basically learn the stock market, from everything from dividend. I had a growing portfolio of dividend stocks, and then I got into like penny stocks because it was kind of a fun risk versus reward type deal. And I was always on stock twits. I was like, I had a whole portfolio on stock twits, and I was keeping tabs of what all the big investors were doing. And I was really caught up in it, and it was fun for a minute. But then when I discovered crypto, I'm like, okay, this is all old school. And I got rid of everything. I sold everything. And then I just started getting into crypto, man. Like, and to this day, I don't think I own some GBTC that I got in 2017 or something. You know what I mean? I still have some of that. I told the financial advisor. Huh?
You talking about the grayscale Bitcoin?
Right, exactly. Yeah, because I had some 401k money from like the 2 times I was able to make 401k working as a W-2 guy in my whole life, I think. And my wife was doing her thing, and I got into crypto, and I told my financial guys to just put it all in the GBDC. I said, just put it into Bitcoin and don't touch it. And it's still there. I haven't touched any of it. So I don't even know if it's worth, I don't know what I think it's, the way the paper Bitcoin has turned out, I think it's worth even less than actual Bitcoin now. But I know it also split a few times. I think at one point I had like 4 shares at one point. I think somehow that got split into like 60 or something. I don't know how it all works. I never even called him and asked him about it. I know it split into like a whole bunch of shares at one point, and then I was like, cool, just let it go. I don't even know what that means.
Well, you also said you put your first video out somewhere around like November 2017, and that would be like right when the hysteria was kind of getting towards the peak, because obviously not even maybe 40 days after the early November or so, 45 days, we've seen the peak of Bitcoin hitting right under 20K.
Right.
Good timing. So, I mean, that definitely makes sense why your channel would have grown so quickly, especially with there only being so few channels. You mentioned some of those OG channels, and some of those guys are kind of scammy, like Trayvon with the BitConnect. He put out some good information, but the BitConnect stuff, I'm not a big Superman fan.
A lot of people aren't, and I get it. And it's not that it's not even that I think like Ian Bellina, when I moved to Puerto Rico, him and his whole team came to my house in Puerto Rico. And, I mean, he was so damn cool, and he was such a chill, business-minded guy, and there was nothing about him that struck me as shady. You know what I mean? I mean, even the guys on his team, it's like everybody's just having a good time, and there was no. I feel like I'm a pretty good judge of character when it comes to that. And, you know, like Mark Moss, him and his wife and daughter, they came to our house and we had drinks and talked for a while about Bitcoin, you know. And, you know, Mark Moss is like legit as it gets, in my
he's
opinion.
Good people. He's good people. Yeah. I like him a lot. I've been to one of his market disruptors conferences. He hooked me up with a media pass, and definitely good people, man. And I think
Trevon James, though, like I look at Trevon as the guy who he gets into all of the shit that a lot of us don't really want to touch, but he makes it fun because it's all so stinking risky, right? Like, I don't know, man. It's kind of one of those things where, you know, the story of, and I shouldn't compare any of these guys to
I think Trayvon's still doing content, though.
He is. He's still doing content. Oh, he's a big Hex guy now. You know, he's all about, I mean, Trevon loves
passive income.
He loves a Ponzi scheme. Yeah. Like, let's just be real. He loves a good Ponzi. And
are you calling Hex a Ponzi?
I mean, you know, I don't know what the hell Hex is, man. Honestly, I really don't. I mean,
I had to ask since you said it.
Make money, but it's not really for me.
Right.
You know, I'll stick with my Cardano and just slow grow into billions of dollars. And
speaking of Cardano, have you become a Cardano maxi?
I get asked that a lot lately.
I know you're an advocate. You're a self-proclaimed Cardano advocate, which but are you blockchain agnostic? Are there other blockchain projects you like?
I'm not a Cardano maxi because I'm also a realist in the sense that I know, how do I word this? To me, I think Cardano is ultimately going to define itself as the best there is in the market in the future. Once a lot of these other things hit, you know, all of the development milestones they're working on, the Hydra and the Voltaire eras and all that, or well, the Voltaire era and then the Hydra protocol and some of the other stuff that's coming out. I think it's going to make a lot of other blockchains look obsolete in the not so distant future. But when you're talking about the technology offerings itself, I think that some blockchains out there will cater to a very niche market where it does it best. So no, I'm not a Cardano maxi because I believe that it's almost like when I look at cryptocurrency like I look at people. Okay, it's like the different races, different backgrounds, different creeds, different ideas, different. It all plays a role in making the world go round, right? If we were all the same, if we were all just 5-foot gray people with no hair, no facial features walking around, how would the world turn exactly? You know, is the kind of way I look at it.
So, meaning like some of us need to be giants and some of us need to be short. 7 foot tall. This man is 7. And I didn't even, we were talking about it before we started recording. I didn't even actually realize. I knew you were tall as hell, but I didn't know you were actually 7 foot tall. And I definitely feel incredibly small around you. But it's nice to be around your wife when she's around you because she's even smaller than me, which makes me not feel as small compared to you.
Yeah, there aren't that many people smaller than my wife. She's only 5 foot. So, you know, she pimped me out on TikTok for like throughout COVID because, you know, she just pimped out our size difference. Everybody thought we were photoshopping videos to make us look different than we actually are. So yeah, we never photoshopped or edited any videos. She's just tiny and I'm ginormous. So but yeah, no, man, I'm not a Cardano maxi. I think that there are other blockchains out there that are going to serve a strong purpose. I just think that Cardano is going to do the majority of it better. Okay. And there will be some instances where this blockchain might perform this task or serve this function better than Cardano. And it is what it is. But
and that makes sense. I would love to get you on for, you know, a future show to kind of break down Cardano since you're so in depth with the project. I've had Charles on and I am a fan of the project. So As far as layer 1 protocols, I definitely feel like it has a lot more of a future than some of the other protocols that we see out there. But there are some good protocols either way.
Yeah.
You kind of answered what I was going to ask you, like why you decided to start your YouTube channel, but you kind of answered that. I've noticed that you are a serial entrepreneur. You are constantly doing many different business ideas. Since I've known of you, I think you had a mining company.
Still have it.
Okay. You had what was the other thing?
Trading bot.
You had a trading bot, but you also did a conference.
Still have that too.
Was Chainwise. Was that the name of it?
Yeah, that was just a convention. I did a convention in my hometown in Cincinnati when I lived there. Just trying to educate, like Bitcoin was like $4,000. And I wanted to try and tell everybody, like, now's the time to start getting into this. I brought people in from all over, YouTuber friends, came, everybody flew out on their own dime. They just wanted to educate. The whole idea was like, come curious, leave an expert.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And it was just a big education rally kind of thing. And nobody local cared.
Are you still?
I went on the news. I had billboards. I was on TV. People from Cincinnati just didn't give a shit.
Another thing I remember, it was around 2018 when I was working with Ken Bozak. Like, I want to say somewhere around late spring, early summer. I had read something about you getting some sort of syndicated deal.
Oh, that was, yeah. I don't even remember all the details of that. It's been so long. I was talking to a company because I wanted to try and do a TV channel, a TV show. Yeah. And initially I thought, well, I'll buy time on a network. So when I was a fight promoter, you could buy time. Like 80% of the sports you watch on TV are time buys. People don't realize it, but they're time buys. You go to the network and you say, hey, I want to buy a 2-hour block of time on, this block every Friday for this season, right?
Okay.
And then you buy like the 2 hours, and then whatever you put up there, that's where you get sponsorships and you get other deals, because the more eyes you draw to that show, that broadcast, the more you can charge, like anything else. So it's almost like buying wholesale, selling retail in terms of sponsorship, ad dollars, that kind of thing. Well, I think it was, I don't even remember what network it was now. It's been so long. But I originally went in, I was going to do a time buy and just put my own like half-hour TV show out like once a week. And I got to talking to the exec, and he's like, hey, we could do this, we could do that. How about we syndicate this? And, and then we came to terms, and then I did a press release about it. And then he came back and said, oh, my higher ups don't want to do it this way. You got to get rid of everything. And I'm like, what? Like it was all so weird and like,
I was wondering what happened with it.
Yeah.
I remember it happening.
Yeah. And then I ended up just pulling the plug on everything. I'm like, this is shady. Like it put me in a bad spot. I'm like, the guy I'm working with, and he admitted that he was at fault, but it was just such a cluster. And I'm like, I'm not dealing with any of this. This is supposed to be a fun thing for me. This isn't like I'm not making any money off of it. It was just a fun thing. I thought maybe I'd reach more people. And so yeah, I really got, how long ago was that?
I'm thinking it was it was 2018. I'm thinking it was late spring, early summer that I saw the news piece about it, because that when there was that press release, I think a couple different crypto publications might've covered it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, we have somebody in the space that's going to be trying to do this on a more mainstream level.
Yeah,
but that
I ended up working something out with like Biz TV or whatever. And they ended up, I think I was on something else for a minute, but then I started working with Biz TV, and they just started taking my videos from YouTube and just turning them into half-hour shows. I gave them permission to. I'm like, yeah, I don't want anything. It's fine. You can use the content. And then, but at first it was, I had, oh my gosh, Monarch wallet.
They are still one of my sponsors. Shout out to Robert Beatles.
Yeah. Beatles had, I think his son or somebody from his team was helping me with editing. He was the videos for Biz TV.
Yeah. His son does a lot of editing.
Yeah, and then somehow he ended up putting his content on Biz TV as well, and then they started making things a little more complicated for me, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm done with this too. So like, I don't know if they're still doing anything or what. They send me emails all the time. They've had a change in management, not Beatles, but the network, and I just stopped dealing with it all. It's all like, it was just extra work for really no reward whatsoever, and it just kind of got old, and I said, hell with it.
Beatles got scrubbed pretty much from the internet. They took down his YouTube channel. He had a LinkedIn profile. I'm not sure if he ever got reinstated on Twitter or not.
Scrubbed from the internet for what?
Very, very pro-Trump.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very much backfired. He actually went to a couple different Trump rallies where, if you would have watched it live, you would have seen Beatles in the background. He had seats like right behind where Trump was sitting, wearing Monarch swag.
Oh, wow. I didn't know any of this happened. I just knew I haven't heard from Beatles in a long time.
He just disappeared, and he's focusing on a lot of things, I guess, business-wise and in the political arena. So he's got a couple different websites.
He's a very religious dude. He's a very, very Christian dude.
Yeah.
And
he was an early investor in Gab, which I didn't know.
I've always just wondered what ever happened to Monarch Wallet. Like, because
it's still around, and they're still developing, and they're still doing some things. They've got changes they've been implementing, and he's got a game that he put out. It's not in the wallet, but it's a separate game. And I think he just recently got a patent for recurring payments within like a cryptocurrency payment system, which would mean anybody who offers recurring payments he could essentially sue them for use of his IP, which would allow for him to collect some money.
The last he ever told me was that they were potentially selling the whole company to a bigger company or something. But that was years ago. And I'm like, when am I going to be able to do anything with my tokens? Like, what?
The Monarch tokens?
When are you going to get an exchange or like anything so I could do something with these tokens? And I never knew of anything that happened with them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I definitely want to try to get him on for an update. He's just been really, really hard to get in contact with. The wallet, though, I mean, they're still adding a lot of different things. They've got a lot of different changes they've been doing. So, I mean, it still exists, and it's working well. So,
okay, good.
One thing that did turn some people off is he does have like a hex function in there where you can buy hex and buy other cryptocurrencies, and you can hold hex. Really? And that did upset some people in the space.
Why?
But it should be up to whoever wants.
It doesn't mean you have to do it.
So I mean, I'm looking at the wallet. The wallet itself has a upgrade on the interface.
I'll have to check it out. I hated the color scheme. I wasn't down with the orange and purple or whatever.
It's still kind of like that. This one has like orange, blue, green, purple, red.
Oh, pink, no, that doesn't look bad.
Yeah, so
I think it was the general orange and purple color scheme from before. It looked like it was something from like a 70s acid trip.
I don't know if they have this exchange built in. You can buy with Simplex. That's a new partnership that they have available. And Hex is available on there. So if you wanted to purchase Hex, so I'm sure a lot of the Hex community is utilizing the wallet. But yeah, I mean, he kind of like fell through the wayside, I guess, because a lot of the things that he was paying attention to on the political scape. I think he saw bigger problems in the world that he wanted to focus on. And then the fact that they pretty much took him down off of social media. All the work
that's insane to me, man. Really is insane.
Well, his YouTube channel didn't really reflect a lot of that.
Yeah, because I've never known him to really get too political or get too crazy with anything.
Not so much. Now he started towards the end of the channel. He started doing a little bit more stuff, but
I might need to tone my channel down. I did a video today that I'm kind of nervous about, but who knows?
You almost have to push the envelope a little bit to see what you can and can't get away with, because I don't even understand half of the shit that YouTube does. I had 3 shows on this one channel, and I've split it up, and I've kind of got back to basics where now I'm focusing on just crypto and economics and political stuff in relation to here on Rice TVX. And then anything else that I was doing a show called Stranger Than Fiction, where I was talking about fringe topics, conspiracies, law, history, spirituality, and all of that stuff is what would cause me to get strikes and videos removed. So I ultimately deleted all that content off of my channel. I've deleted over it was so sickening of a feeling, but I deleted over half of my content, and I had almost 2 million views, and now I'm showing right under like kind of like 60,000 away from a million. So like 93,000 something like
Yeah.
something. It's pretty off, and it was really disheartening to do, but in order to for me with what I'm doing, in order for me to stay in the battle and keep fighting, I had to play a better game of chess. And so
I try to explain what's on my mind and what I'm thinking, but I sometimes I even, well, so like when I went on the video with you and oh my gosh, I'm so
debate
on the
crypto.
spot. Who?
Was it debate crypto with Crypto Keeper?
Yeah, keeper. Yes, all the cuh sounds in all of our names. But yeah, when I did all that, and I was drinking, and I
Yeah.
got a little loose lipped with things, which it was fun and it was a
I
good
don't
time
think
and
there was any
everything.
problem with the video though.
Doesn't seem like it. I mean, the video I did today was the real reason Bitcoin pumped. And I basically laid out like how all these airlines in like Canada and the Philippines and the US and everybody was basically, let's just say, put down over the course of 2 weeks, and how I think I showed it on the Bitcoin chart too. Like on this day, this happened at this airport or this airline, and this day this happened. And as we move forward, Bitcoin's price is going up, and I got the idea from Tucker Carlson because he talked about it. I'm like, son of a gun, I'm going to map this out and see how it lines up. Because the idea is basically these airlines were getting hacked and they were demanded to be paying ransom in Bitcoin. And so if they had to all run out and pay, buy Bitcoin to pay these ransoms, that would explain why, if you look at the events of the shutdowns, because I never heard anything about Philippines. I never heard anything about Canada. I just
Neither
heard,
did I.
we had a corrupt file at the FAA or whatever here in the United States.
And that
Nobody
was
ever said,
only for
but
an
this also
overnight
happened 2
thing.
weeks ago in the Philippines, and it's also happening right now in Canada. So it makes sense because as this started, like if you look at the price, it's basically sideways until January 1st, which is what happened in the Philippines. And then,
I had to check that
it
video
starts to
out.
move up a little bit. And then boom, US and Canada hit. And then wow, we really went up there because it must have been a much bigger deal. So it was, yeah, I'm like, I was nervous doing the video, so I tried to keep it short, but I'm like, this might be a bigger reason. And then momentum and change of sentiment because of that has kind of kept it going a little bit. But I basically said I can see things dying back out, but we might get a little bit more of a pump off of the market makers,
Well,
playing the markets from here before we dive down again. But I don't know.
if you think that your days are numbered on YouTube, like I feel like mine are, uh, then you got to prepare for that. And having your stuff on other platforms, I think helps. So I'm using Odyssey and Rumble, and I'm actually doing uncensored conversations and putting videos that I'm not putting on YouTube, so I can speak more freely, and so that my guests can speak freely. And then it hopefully, and it has been driving people over to those platforms, so that if something does happen to my YouTube channel,
Here's
they'll
the
know where
thing,
they can
man.
find my stuff on a public level.
I try to take the approach of, I'll play devil's advocate a lot. Sometimes I'll act as a supporter of some of the things going on because I feel like if I do that, I might be able to speak a little more freely. But I also always tell everybody, don't ever assume that you know what I believe or what I think is good or bad based off of what I say on YouTube. The idea isn't I'm not here to try and manipulate anyone's mind or make them believe anything one way or the other. What I try to do is I just try to present cases to get people thinking outside of the grand narratives that we're constantly being told. I'm trying to induce critical thinking, and I don't do that by telling people what is happening or necessarily what I think is happening. I just try to present information and tell people, think about this, connect the dots on your own, do your own research from here, and form your own opinion. So if what I say happens to make sense, great. But I also don't want to go on a platform like Rumble and just really speak freely and say everything I think all the time, because A, that could change from day to day, and B, I don't really want to have a needle stuck in my toes while I'm sleeping and then end up in the news of having died of a heart attack.
Yeah. No, I
You know
feel
what
you,
I'm
man.
saying?
I mean,
I really don't want those problems.
I mean, I don't necessarily see you doing like I'm personally like very anti-government, especially the way the federal government is. I'm very anti the banking system. I'm very outspoken with it. So I like to share my opinion because for me and it works for me. It's something that because I'm doing things even beyond crypto.
Mhm.
So it kind of works with my overall mission. But I was just kind of curious about that. Because I do know that you kind of look into the rabbit hole
Oh, I look
tinfoil
into
stuff.
everything, and
Yeah.
I have for 15 years, over
I
20
think you were
years.
talking about wanting to do some stuff in regards to conspiracies, if I'm not mistaken.
Uh, yes and no. Like I do, but here's the thing. With the way that the world climate is right now, with censorship and people being branded a certain way because they're not towing the grand narrative line and all of that, I just don't want all that bullshit, man. Like, I'm 45, I have a family, i'm I'm trying to live my life, and I feel like, for me, fighting the machine in a sense is trying to help people get wealthy enough to be able to fight it on their own, in their own way. Like, if I'm doing a good job with educating people in the crypto space and they're able to really turn their life around financially, well, then I am fighting. I don't necessarily need to tell you who the bad people are or what I think the bad people are doing, more than I just want to help people empower themselves for the fight.
Yeah.
How to escape a bad area. How, oh, is stuff really turning bad where you live? Well, maybe if you make enough money that you can afford to just up and move somewhere that you feel is safer, I've helped you. you know um and that's
And I
kind of
get
what
that.
I'm looking at my mission as being now.
Okay. No, and I totally respect that, man. Um, what I did, and I do want to actually kind of like, if you are interested in the crypto conspiracy stuff, I do want to start doing some videos in that subject and kind of pick a couple different topics and bring a variety of people on and just have some discussions.
Mhm.
Just kind of speculate because there's a lot of really interesting things that we can talk about in regards to the
Sure.
cryptocurrency blockchain space. Um, Now you got a lot of projects that you're working on now.
Mhm.
And everything that we're talking about, I'm going to have linked down below in today's video. So we'll be in a video description for you guys to check out. And if you're not already subscribed over at Crypto Crow's YouTube channel, make sure you do that. The projects that I wanted to share and kind of get some information from you from, and we can do deeper dives on future episodes.
Mhm.
But you have your Wargrum game. This is something that you kind of brought to my attention today. I knew that you had your NFT projects, and I know that you just recently started a decentralized social media platform on Cardano, which we're going to get into. But do you mind kind of giving a little bit of explanation about what Wargrum is?
Wargrum is really just kind of a passion project. I've been a long time avid player of games like War Machine Hordes. I have 40 Warhammer 40K, and I love the tactical combat nature of these games. And when the pandemic hit, nobody was playing. You couldn't get a game. No stores were hosting anything, and it all just kind of went downhill for a while. And and then now I moved to Florida, and nobody plays the games I play here. And so I'm like, you know what? I started working on Wargrum basically during COVID for the most part. And it's ultimately like, people are going to be able to buy the NFTs, and then those NFTs are going to unlock the playable models within the game. And it's going to be based off of like a point-based system. And you'll put together your own list of models as a part of your army, and then you'll be put into a 3D environment, and then you'll go to war, and every model will have its own weapons, abilities, and skills and spells and things. And yeah, it's just basically a war skirmish game, and it's really actually a pretty complicated game. But it's going to start with NFTs, and then we want to keep track of wins, losses, and I want to have global tournaments, ladder style. And there's a lot to it, but I'm getting ready to get another build from my devs. It's funny because I have 2 devs in the Ukraine, and so they're always updating me with what's going on with the war. Like, oh yeah, hey, well, we're a little slow this week because we just packed up all of our stuff, and there's like everyone in our neighborhoods moving to oh gosh, where starts with Poland, I guess, maybe, I don't know,
Yeah,
somewhere.
there are a lot of people moving to Poland.
Yeah, and so there's like 30 people living in an apartment in Poland because they're all like former neighbors, and they're all just, and so they're literally helping me build this game while they're kind of in like just trying to stay safe. It's crazy. And so yeah, I mean, and I've been doing all of this art. Everything you see on the website right now is me. I've been doing all of this myself using artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I
And
wanted to highlight that. I wanted to highlight the fact that everything that you're seeing on the screen was created by AI with the inputs that
right.
Jason put in. Because you have to, that's one thing I started learning about these chat bots or these different AI programs is you have to input things very specifically and correctly the way, and it would change based off of how you input information.
Right. Yeah. It's time. It takes a lot of time to get things right because I will, like, every one of these NFTs I've spent like, oh God, man. I mean, just to zero in the software to get a similar look, feel, and style, model to model, image to image, but have it be completely different. It's such a challenge, man. And like, even
Well,
trying to get holding a weapon, swinging a weapon, it's like so difficult because the AI just wants to do whatever it wants. So
no,
yeah.
I get that. I get that. But I will tell you that you did a good job at making them look very uniform, same style. And the one thing that I really like about it, and the one thing I don't like about a lot of NFT projects, is it seems to be like the same drawing with different variations. And it
Mm-mm.
reminds me, you'll probably remember the He-Man toys.
Mm-hmm.
The He-Man toys all had the same body
Right.
with just different heads and colors and different accessories added to it. And it was just like, that's what the NFTs remind me of. So seeing this artwork, I'm really digging it. When
Well,
is
because
the
each one of those represents an in-game model. So the model is basically going to be more of a low poly style rendering of that. So
right?
it's, they all have to be different. You're not, it's like ultimately every unit, solo, guardian, war robot, because they're going to be big robots in this, all that. There's so much stuff, and it's all ultimately it's all going to have its own story. So there's this is such an in-depth project, and it's a lot of fun, and it gives me stuff to work on in the wee hours of the night while my devs are building the actual game mechanics and programming all of this. And for one model in this game, it could take 2 to 4 weeks to integrate the model along with all of its spells, weapons, abilities, the way it affects other models on the table, and all of this. And you know yeah, I'm getting a new build for the, because it's playable now, believe it or not. Like, I can actually play you.
I was going to ask,
And
how can I access the playability to it?
maybe I'll send you a copy of the MVP because they're getting ready to send me a new build.
Okay.
And maybe you and I can play and check it out together. Just like not on the air, but just so that you kind of see what's being built. But it's
But
basically like a 3D tabletop with
you were
trees and
comparing it
buildings
to
and
Warhammer 40K.
kind of it's very much inspired by like War Machine Hordes, Warhammer 40K. A lot of these tabletop skirmish based games, it's very much like that, but we're the first to do what we're doing. I mean, even outside of blockchain, I don't think anybody's effectively done what we've already been doing. And as a matter of fact, I talked to the owner of one of those companies. We'll just say that. And there have been attempts to do something like what we're doing now, and it didn't go so well. And he explained, like, it's a very, very difficult thing. And I'm like, I already got guys doing this, brother. Like, we're doing it now. Like, I have a playable game now. It's just the thing that's complicated. And I still haven't showed him yet. Because I was going to license an already existing game IP, and we worked it all out, and he was willing to do it, but he wanted to see everything first. And then I started realizing how difficult it would be to keep everything exactly like it is on the tabletop, and all of just the way everything is. It's so involved. I'm like, we're just going to do this on our own, kind of do it our own way, and it's still going to be unlike anything anybody's done yet. So
Is
it
the
just
entire
takes a long time.
entire game built on Cardano?
Do what?
Is the entire game built on Cardano?
Yeah, like Cardano is ultimately it's used for the NFTs, the wallet system. It's all going to be based on that. And further down the line, all of the tracking associated with, okay, if you and I are playing against each other, what we do in that match, I want it to be recorded on Cardano. So like people could, and I would love to see someday where we have a system that's I want to watch this historical game between this person and that person. And maybe we have a way to render, each move of each turn and the models associated with it and all of that. So, and there's other stuff, I want to use Cardano for tournament tracking. As well as, if you play somebody, I want to make sure that it's all on the legal side. But, if you and I play a game, I want you and me to be able to bet tokens. Like, what's the outcome going to be? And then, maybe the game team will get a little cut of every bet or every wager put up. But then, you're going to be able to earn from other players. And ultimately you're going to earn tokens by completing matches and winning, or even maybe losing. And then those tokens are going to be used to buy alternative sculpts or alternative versions of this model or that model. And so there's going to be a whole ecosystem associated with it, but it's such a long challenge that I haven't sold anything yet. I haven't minted anything yet. I haven't, you know what I mean? I don't want to do anything premature. And that's my fear. Because even though I really could use the financial help in building this, and it would happen a lot faster if I had it, because I'm paying for everything out of pocket. It's like I don't want to get into a situation where, I've sold all these NFTs, and then for whatever reason we realize, this isn't going to be possible, or this isn't going to work out the way I'd planned, and everybody's pissed off, and I'm at public enemy number one in the crypto space. So I don't want to deal with that. So it's going to take as long as it takes for me to try and do this on my own until I get to a place where I feel very comfortable, like actually allowing people to mint NFTs and things.
Well, I mean, again, dude, I respect that. I think it's better to have that sort of outlook and want to do things that way versus rushing things and just trying to capitalize and then not being able to produce. There's a lot of projects that obviously do that, and you've seen that. And as a content creator, the blowback. And
Right.
I know that you are in this for the long haul.
Right.
So the next thing I wanted to bring up is your NFT project, Murder of Crows. And this is obviously on Cardano as well.
Yeah.
Okay. You want
everything I do is on Cardano.
Okay. So tell me about this, Mr. Cardano, Maxie. What is Murder of Crows?
It's just a fun thing. Everybody's asked me, when are you going to come out with a crow coin? When are you going to come out with your own, cryptocurrency and this and that? I'm like, I'm not doing it for no reason. Like, I don't want to just create a coin and try and sell it and make a bunch of money off of it. It's more about just having fun. You know what I mean? And so I never launched a token, but I love NFTs. I love art. I love NFT art. And I thought, I'm going to create an NFT collection. And for no other reason than to have fun and just, further build the community, give people that have followed my channel, that want to contribute, want to be a part of it. Now you have an NFT collection you can collect and mint over time and all of that. And then ultimately we've been using this collection for different use cases. And, like I'm an ambassador for Cornucopias, right? I'm a paid ambassador for Cornucopias. And I bought a lot of land on the secondary market. I'm going to have a big custom dome. I'm going to have all kinds of fun bells and whistles and things. I want to stream live concerts from my dome. I want to do and these Murder of Crows are going to be tickets. So these are going to unlock access to all kinds of crazy shit we do in Cornucopias when that's ready. And They've also been used to give people access to my social media platform and actually engage and post and start building, earning block tokens on the social media platform. The block tokens do nothing yet, but we do have an internal ledger, so we're keeping track. In order to become a part of that, people would need to have a Murder of Crows NFT, because my social media platform checks the wallet. If you have it, it unlocks engagement functionality where you can post comments and make your own posts and things. And there's just, it's just a fun thing. I've told everybody from the beginning, don't buy these because you think it's going to be like a Bored Ape. It's not going to make you rich. It's like you pick them up because you support what I do. You like my channel. You love the art. I think the crows are the coolest damn things I've seen. And it's just a fun thing, really. That's it. There's no real big bells and whistles or anything to it. It's just a fun collection.
I like the style of artwork, though. I think they look really cool. Even though they are kind of variations of kind of the same thing, they do have a lot of differences, and I do like the style.
Well, I'll tell you something else that we did. During COVID, I was trying to figure out a way to give people something to like work together on, right? I wanted to do this grand treasure hunt. And so I started creating the Twisted Times NFT collection. And it's a very limited collection. And I didn't know anything about marketing or promoting an NFT at the time, but I had the same artist that created the art for my Murder of Crows is the same one who created all my Twisted Times art. And if you haven't seen that, you personally would love it. Okay. Because you're going to look at the images and you're going to be like, oh shit, Crow, this is talking my language. And you'll know what I'm talking about when you look at them. But what I did was I did an airdrop of Twisted Times NFTs. It was kind of random. So if people, it's over. The airdrop's over now. You can't get them. The only way you can get the Twisted Times is to get them on the secondary market now. But inside each of the NFTs are because nobody solved this whole thing yet. I created a Cardano wallet and I seeded it with 1,000 ADA, and I hid the seed words in 24 different NFTs, which makes up the 24 NFT collection for Twisted Times. And each one of them has a cipher or code or something hidden in the NFT. And people have finally figured out, with some help from me, how to unlock some of this stuff. And about half of them have been solved, but half of them have not, because they ramp up in difficulty. And I thought, and it's going on right now, and there are people that still they're trying to figure this out, that out, and it was basically something I wanted to see. So in the secondary market, I make nothing from this, just so you know. Like, I make nothing from the NFT sales on the Twisted Times, because as they're sold on the secondary market, the royalty is going into the treasure wallet. So the treasure wallet will grow in value over time until somebody actually cracks all 24 of the seed words and unlocks the wallet and cleans it out.
That's cool.
Yeah, I came up with that during the pandemic, because I'm like, I want something that's like, give people something to work towards, give people a way, like give them a reason to work together and trade hints and so forth. And I think it's only gone, I don't know, it's a little over 1,000. It's not much. It might be 1,100 or something. But like, as Cardano's value grows over the bull market, that value of the pot will grow. It'll drive more interest. And before long, I'm sure that something's going to happen and people are going to start snagging them up, because the art on those is sick, dude. Yeah, I mean, it's sick. And
I have to check them out.
Those are just going to be, not many people know about them. Other than the MOC holders. Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned that, I know, like your social media platform that you built, which will pull up, you had in order to access it now, you would have to possess one of those NFTs or the governance token. Is the governance token specifically for the social media site?
Yeah, the governance token there's only 500 of those. And ultimately, so yeah, I see you pulled it up. So that whole platform is about to change. Like the UI, the look and feel, it's all going to change. That's all very entry level stuff.
But I do want to bring you back on to get more development with this as it happens, because I think we need to have more decentralized social media. And I hope that the one thing that really is one of the negative effects from decentralized social media right now is the fact that we don't have adoption and they kind of become echo chambers. So I hope that we can have something that becomes more utilized by other people so that it's not just a specific echo chamber for the Cardano community, so to say.
Yeah. So if you go governance Soblock, I think if you click the governance link on the left, I'm pretty sure you find the white paper in there. Yeah, I think there's a link to the actual white paper down there, and it kind of breaks down how Soblocks is going to work. Nobody's doing social media the way it's planned for Soblocks. And a lot of people are like, Soblocks, why that name? It's social blocks. It's social blockchain is what it's basically about. And that light paper is going to be changing soon too, because we've got the meat of the information in there, but it's growing.
You just started this thing not too long ago, right?
To the top, and the crap content is just going to be automatically wiped.
But you just recently started this, right?
We've been working on this for a while too.
Well, you just recently announced it, I guess.
Yeah, I just started talking about it maybe a month or two ago.
Okay,
something like that. And the only people that can actually join or post are people that are Murder Crow holders or governance tokens. So ultimately, the idea is I want Soblocks to be self-governing. And I want the content to be voted on by the community. So quality content that's engaging and worthwhile will stay and end up being minted to Cardano's blockchain forever. Everything else will be wiped. I don't want this to be a bunch of bloat, shit memes, flame wars, all that kind of crap. I want this to be a place that people are able to really build a presence online and share anything really, but ultimately the public will vote and they'll be able to contribute block tokens and ultimately help you pay the minting fee for Cardano's transaction fees and so forth to mint it to the blockchain forever. And then they'll likely end up being a whole separate wall that's all just the best quality that Soblocks offers, which is basically everything that's been minted to the blockchain based off of community voting. And it's all kind of a passive thing, you know what I mean? But there are going to be elements that enable people to create, we have groups, right? So you'll be able to create a group and you'll actually be able to set that group up so that only somebody that owns your Cardano based NFT will get access to your group. There's going to be a tokenizer in the platform. So you're going to be able to mint your own tokens and mint your own NFTs right within Soblocks. Soblocks will present those NFTs. We're going to have an internal marketplace. All of these things have already been built. We just haven't integrated them into Soblocks yet. So if you remember, by chance, I had Ada Tokenizer a while back, and I had Zempify. We had all of this stuff built, but we pulled it down because the idea is we wanted to build them and then integrate them into the social media platform when it was ready. And so there's so much stuff that Soblocks is going to do, and the idea is about empowering people to create, to share, and engage on the blockchain. And it's very much, again, it's another passion project. It's nothing that I don't expect is going to make me a billionaire or anything, but it's something that I think there's a need for, and the way we want this to function and work, I think there's a big need for in this space. So yeah, I'm just giving it a shot and seeing what we can build.
Sweet, man. Okay, so we're recording this on the 18th of January. It's going to be released the very following day on Thursday, the 19th. So when are you expecting this to open up beta to the public with the change of the UI?
I'm thinking
probably just a couple days after it's released, maybe a week.
Once the new user interface is rolled out, we're going to unlock everything too. So I'm guessing by Saturday, the 21st, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to ask my developer again to be sure, but I mean, I can message you.
But you're also, if people are watching this, are you going to be updating that kind of information on your Twitter account? Because I know you have.
Yeah, I post so much more on my Twitter than I post on YouTube. It's just easier for me to go to Twitter and say something and hit return than it is to do a whole video about it. So
I just don't want people to get discouraged that they can't necessarily use it or see that they have to request an invite. Because if people just wait a few days and just keep checking back at the website, you'll be able to get access to it. It will be open up to the public. And I'm looking forward to that, because I told you I sent in a request today, but I might as well, unless I get approved, I might as well just go ahead and wait until everything happens for everybody else to get into it.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah, because right now all approvals are manually done by my developer. So he goes through, and I know there's several hundred in there waiting right now. And I don't even talk about Soblocks that much. So yeah, there are people waiting in line.
Does it require you to pay Cardano ADA to be able to post?
No.
Okay. I know it's like Twetch, which is on the BSV blockchain. I think it's like microtransactions. I think you pay to post, you pay to like.
No, you don't pay to post or any of that. It's basically, it's the only stuff that is going to be on the blockchain are the block token functionalities when those are done and unlocked. And then when you vote, or you basically say, I like this, or I'm going to contribute block token to this, or whatever the case is, when that gets to a point where the money generated can cover the minting fees, then you will be able to use those funds to mint that particular post or article or whatever you're doing to Cardano. Okay. And there are other functionalities, but like right now, the only blockchain functionality that's on Soblocks is the wallet system, the way that it checks for your Murder of Crows NFT to unlock the functionality to give you the ability to start posting and things. So Soblocks isn't going to be Soblocks. It's going to be hell. It's probably going to be a year from now before everything we have outlined is integrated and functional. It's going to be a slow stepping stone. So, but it's going to continue growing over time. And I prefer a slow grow rather than oh, we're blowing up tomorrow. Oh my gosh, look. And everybody's like, cool, had that, done that. Let's move on. Like, I want this to be more of a slow grow kind of operation.
Okay, cool. Well, again, I will have links for all this down below in the video description. And again, I do want to get you back on so we can deep dive into some of these other areas I was talking about. But I have one more real question before we wrap things up. I want to kind of get your thoughts and your outlook on 2023 with cryptocurrency. I mean, you seem to look at the bigger picture, the macro view. You're paying attention to what's happening on the global economic scale, inflation, what the Federal Reserve is doing, what's happening around the world with other fiat monies, other central banks, the coming of the CBDCs, regardless of if we want them or not. I've said, in my opinion, we need to do what we can to try to help shape positive legislation so that we can get a CBDC that's more beneficial for we the people versus a CBDC that gives central banks and governments more control.
Right.
But being that we're in a bear market, we're probably going to be in a bear market all year, sideways action, maybe some up and down swings here and there. But I'd like to get your overall thoughts of what you think about 2023 with crypto.
Well, contrary to what a lot of people like to think right now, I believe 2023 is going to be the year of the bottom. And I think right now what's feeding a lot of the any upward momentum in Bitcoin or the market price is just impatience, right? We've gotten to a point of impatience. And the thing is that impatience is very quickly going to be turned into depression, which is ultimately the final leg of a bear market. I don't think we've had depression yet in this cycle, right? We've had, oh gosh, the market's going down. Oh, it's going lower. Oh, damn, my portfolio's down so much, but I believe it's going to go up, right? Depression sets in when you feel like you had an opportunity and things were going to get better and it just didn't work out. And you're like, oh gosh, that was my last hope. I really thought that was going to happen. Now I'm depressed. How long is this really? Oh my God, it's going to last forever. And we haven't been there yet, but I think we're about to be there.
When you mentioned depression, I wasn't sure if you were talking about recession, depression, because, a lot of people are saying that we're going to be going, or we
Oh
are
no,
in a
I'm talking about
recession.
emotional
Right. No,
depression.
I get that. I get
Yeah.
that now. I get that now.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel as if we probably will be going into a depression.
We could.
But so it's kind of
Here's the thing
interesting that you
too.
brought that up. But yeah, I definitely see that. So you don't feel that the bottom is in as far as price for Bitcoin specifically?
I know that a lot of signs are pointing to it having already bottomed at like 15.4, and I get that. I just don't buy it. I
I don't
mean,
either.
I
don't either. I mean, I'm in agreement with you, but I like to hear your reasonings.
well, there's just too much being reset right now. There's the use case for Cardano, for crypto in general,
Cardano
is really
Maxi.
being like engineered by all of the elites, by those that make the decisions for the rest of us peons. And they're not done yet. They're still sorting through it. And I don't think we're going to see a real bottom until they've come out with it. And they've said, okay, you guys have been playing by your own rules for long enough. Here's the new rules. The good and the bad is you're going to have a lot of rules. That's the bad. Nobody's going to like that. The good news is you're also going to have a lot more money in your space, because those who already know what to expect by our rules and have been playing by them for years in the security space, they're going to start putting a lot of money in crypto. And your money and your crypto is probably going to be worth a hell of a lot more than it ever has been. But the way you're able to utilize it moving forward is going to be more limited. And I think that the confusion of that, and I think a lot of that I think it'll end up driving the market down initially, until we start seeing it, ultimately come back up. I don't have a direct time scale, and I could be wrong entirely. This may not happen until, the 2030 market. You know what I mean? I mean, everything right now is being engineered for 2030. But I think that this bear market we're seeing so much change and so much happen. And if the pandemic was the catalyst for a lot of these significant changes, like Klaus Schwab said, we don't want to waste such a good opportunity,
Right.
Well, it's not being wasted. So I know
that. Fourth industrial revolution.
Yeah. I read the book. I read Klaus's book. I read a couple others. I read the fourth Turing or whatever. I've read all this stuff, man. And
you've read the fourth Turning.
Huh?
You've read the fourth Turning.
Yeah, I have it. I think I bought the hardback.
I had the book. I haven't read the whole thing, but it's a very, very, very fascinating book and subject. It's completely outside of crypto. And if it is something that interests you and you would like to have a conversation with that, I would like to bring you on my other channel and talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was good. I do all my reading in the bathtub.
In the bathtub?
Yeah, I do my book reading in the bathtub,
So
and I do my audio
takes
book.
Baths. You don't take showers. You don't take showers. You take baths.
I hate showers.
So you soak your body every day in a bathtub.
Yes. Do your dreams need detail, right?
Your 7-foot body.
Well, my knees have never touched water.
I just don't take you as a bath guy. You seem like you would just be a shower dude.
I like my Calgon, man. I don't know what to tell you. So I get so stressed out every day. I do a lot of stuff, and the bathroom is the only place I can just get the hell away.
I feel you.
Yeah. If I take a shower, I'll take an hour shower, because I'll literally sit on the floor and just let the water hit me for an hour until I've had enough. So it's either that or just sit in the bathtub.
Interesting. Things that people don't want to know, but they've learned today.
Yeah, well, I'm all full of that. So yeah, man, I mean, I have high hopes for like things are going to turn around eventually, regardless. But it's just a matter of how much worse do things get until they do. And if we like bounced off of a 200 moving average, on a weekly, especially, then maybe the bottom is in. We're headed towards a confirmation that we've bottomed and that we're moving up, and we're going to go sideways for a while until 2024, and maybe that is the case. I don't know for sure. My timing can be off by a cycle. But I know one way or another, I think we're going to hit a really hard bottom at one point that is going to lead to some significant depression and a lot of questioning. And, for all we know, there are going to be some other major instances that hit that send the market down. And then that will be, everybody thinks it's this FTX stuff. There might be some more bigger stuff coming that we don't know anything about yet. That is what sends the market down in 2023. And that is what spawns oh, hey, we've got a way to fix all this. Here it is.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah, you get the grayscale issue, the questions of whether or not that will survive. There's speculation that if things keep going the way they're going with Coinbase, that there could be a kind of a corporate takeover with buying enough stock since it's public. So there's a lot of different speculation, and then you have all the uncertainty with what's happening around the world. And then the interesting thing is, especially for cryptocurrency specifically, is and I like to use Bitcoin as the example since it was the first crypto created, but we are in now in a deflationary environment where cryptocurrency has been in an inflationary environment the majority of its time up until last year. So it's going to be interesting to see how it performs. And it would be really interesting to see people start to look at crypto as that lifeboat to kind of get you away from the problems that fiat money is creating. And there are people in other nations that have experienced that. I know in Venezuela, crypto was something that people utilized to be able to transact and maintain their purchasing power, in addition to things like gold and silver. Since you kind of look at markets too, and I really wasn't even thinking about asking you this, but since you kind of look at markets and get a feel for how stocks work and everything, what are your thoughts on precious metals, on gold and silver as a crypto guy?
Well,
I get a lot of shit. I get a
gold.
lot of shit from people in the space for promoting gold and silver.
Well, because it's the thing a lot of people like to do, but like I almost bought a lot of gold, and then I started researching how difficult is it to sell once you actually have it. And it's like anything, man. You might go buy it for 2,000 an ounce, and then when you need to go sell it, somebody's willing to buy it for 1,500, even though it's worth 1,800. Or what? It seems like in a way, gold seems kind of shady. And like it's not, because I've talked to several people, I've watched a whole bunch of videos about it. But at the same time, let's say we were going through some significant reset, right? And the government, for whatever reason, decides they want your gold. They're going to get your gold. I mean, they've already done it. Like, I can't remember what president it was, but I've talked about it in a video in the past. But they basically said, listen, you turn in your gold or you go to jail. It's that simple. And
yeah, that was 1930s. I'm drawing a blank on the president. I'll look it up. The Gold Confiscation Act, where they required all the U.S. citizens to sell their gold back to the United States at $20 an ounce. And then once it all got sold back and the government got possession of it, they reevaluated it to 35.
Exactly. Right. So
that's your good old government for you.
Yeah. And it's like, it's just, to me, if I'm going to buy gold, I'll buy Bitcoin. Like that's just because regardless of where we are in a cycle,
Roosevelt,
that's it. So
yeah,
regardless of where we are in a cycle, if I'm going to buy an asset that I want to be able to keep secure and I don't know, just not make it easily accessible to people, I'm going to buy gold and I'll just hold that long term, or Bitcoin, sorry. Or Cardano, for that matter.
For me personally, I look at, this is the way I explain it. I look at gold and silver as being a way to preserve what I have presently. And I look at cryptocurrency as a way to grow what I have. So I look at it more future tense, where I look at gold and silver more present tense. And I encourage, like, for me, like I would actually, and so something that you could do that's beneficial is if you buy gold, you could store it at a particular facility if you wanted to do that. And if you did that, that would allow you in a lot of instances to be able to take loans out against your own collateral. So and that gives you a lot more opportunities to be able to capitalize on being able to get fundage and things to that effect. And it definitely, like, I feel like it complements crypto. And if we did have some stuff get all crazy, we end up losing power, internet, crypto is not really going to be very helpful in those aspects either.
Yeah.
And with
I mean,
you
I've got
reading the fourth
solar in both
turning,
my houses, so
with you reading the fourth turning, I mean, you kind of get an idea of we're in a fourth turning and what fourth turnings have resulted in the past, and
right.
it's not good.
Mhm.
So
Well,
yeah,
it's a transition. I mean, it's a transition, and a lot of times, forms of government change, currency changes, the entire economic system changes. I mean, there's just, but that's also why I think 2023 is going to be a year of a bottom, because I think we're going to see a lot of this major transition actually start to take shape this year into 2024. So,
that makes sense.
yeah,
It does. It's
I
gonna be
mean, on a
interesting,
grand
man.
scale, I think it'll all work out. It's just people are going to have to really start getting used to the way the world is changing. I mean, there's topics for 20 other videos to just break this stuff down. The way artificial intelligence is already starting to change things. There's so many systems being put in place to basically enable very few to achieve a lot in much less time, and that's going to play a dramatic role in the way we move forward with a lot of things in the future. So yeah.
True, man. True. I'm definitely looking forward to more conversations, and I'm going to have links down below for your website, for your YouTube channel, for your Twitter, and I will also include links for Wargrum, for the Murder of Crows, and for SoBloks.com if people want to check that out. Again, man, I really appreciate your time. And before we wrap things up, do you have any final thoughts? Anything you want to leave us with before we do end today's interview?
Oh, I mean, not really. I just, everybody should really understand that, a lot of people say, "Oh, Crow, you're working on so much. You're so busy. How do you keep up?" I do. I get bored easy. Okay. I do. I get bored easy, and I have to keep my mind working at all times or it'll go right into the gutter. Like I have to, it's like I can get caught up in the depression of the way things change and how bad things seem and this and that, or I could get to work and focus on changing things for myself and hopefully others. So, in a bear market, this is the time to build. We build, we put in the time, we grind it out, we do everything that we can now, so that we don't have to worry when things really do hit the fan. So that when things do really change in significant ways, always be educating yourself, always expose yourself to everything possible. And it should absolutely not all fall into your own personal bubble of belief or ideals. You have to expose yourself to everything that's available out there, and you'll find the truth somewhere in the middle. And if you are afraid to do that, chances are what you believe or what you subscribe to probably has way too many holes. So yeah, I mean, that's it. Just focus on building, focus on educating yourself, and things will work out in the end.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And well said. If you can bear with me 1 second, just going to do the wrap up. Ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate you tuning in. If you haven't smashed that like button, I'd greatly appreciate if you take time to do so, because it does help with the YouTube algorithm. It brings attention to these videos and my channel, and it's a good way to support what I do. Make sure you're subscribed here at Rice TVX and my sister channel, Rice Against the Grain. And I will leave you with this. I encourage you to be a blessing to others. I encourage you to treat people how you want to be treated, be the glitch you want to see in the matrix, the change you want to see in the world. And until next time, practice change.
Peace.